how do you feel about the I think Biden just was talking about passing the bill, but like I think he was talking about like retroactively releasing non-violent drug offenses and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it was essentially just, it's a great gesture, and it's a good start. So, I mean, I'll applaud him there. You know what I'm saying?
I heard it was like something in the fine print.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, one is federal weed charges, right? So
how many people in the feds?
So, for weed, and just weed.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to have nothing else connected to the crime. Like, it's just, it's fine print. It's fine print. And I think, to me, what it is void of is it shines a light on the bigger picture, which is I think they're void of perspective. When they're making up these things and creating these ideas, they're not talking to us.
That's a fact.
They're not talking to the people that got affected. Then we would tell you how you can retroactively help us and fix it, right? Because we would tell you there's a hole in that theory, bro, because my cousin and them ain't gonna get out with that.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? And they the ones who you trying to help. Or let me explain to you how we can, is there a process that you can, anyways, there's a way around doing what you did, releasing that and not talking to anybody of any consequence.
Now, do you think they just don't care enough to do that, or they're just like unaware that they need that perspective?
Oh man, that's a heavy question right there. That's a heavy
opinion based.
question. It is. But that's a good question. I think America's America. And so black people being important in America has never really been a thing. So something that's been most affected by the people that have been most affected by that, you know what I'm saying? I don't are black, and I don't think they are now the priority either. And so I just think it's just a routine response to problems in black America is to think you know the answers and come tell us how we gonna fix it for you instead of coming and talk to us.
Throw a Band-Aid over something that needs some stitches. You know what I mean? Need medical attention.
Man. We see you dying over there. Take this gall.
Right? Call me in a week. But yeah, man, and that's one thing. Like I want to see our people be able to benefit off the things that we consume on a consistent basis.
Yes.
Like regardless of it's weed, drinks, whatever. And we know in order to sell things in America, you got to have a license. Can you speak on like the licensing process, how much it costs to get a THC distribution license, a marijuana license? Yeah,
so first you made a good point I want to double down on. This is our opportunity for liberation. 100%. This generation, I don't think in our existence, again, we'll have an opportunity like this that can financially liberate our community, right? Can literally change our social economic status in the next 20 years by being effectively integrated into this industry as more than consumers on so many different levels, right? So many different levels, ancillary opportunities, plant touching opportunities. There's just so many different ways that we could do that. With that being said, absolutely right. You cannot do that in this country when it goes legal without a license. And so in New York State, those things are still being developed. So the law's been passed. Regulation is the next step once a law is passed. And that's the process we're in New York State, as things are being regulated. So they've regulated out kind of what they've figured is the supply chain.
Okay.
Right? So you can't do anything without plants, right? So the first people that can get licenses were growers. Got to let them grow the weed. The next people were processors. Everybody that grow weed, all that weed isn't going to be weed that you can sell in a store and smoke. So you got to process it into other stuff, right? Whether that's distillate, and then people use that for gummies, or if it's tinctures, or there's a resin. There's a bunch of
oils,
stuff.
Butters, all that type
right?
of
So you can process it into other things. So that was the next license that got approved. And now they've just introduced this program called CARD. I don't want to get into too much detail, but those are the first 150 licenses that are being rolled out for retailers, right? So now you can grow the plant, we can process the plant, somebody can sell the weed. That's essentially what they were trying to do. Those first two, growers and processors, were grandfathered in from the hemp world. So if you were a CBD store, previously retailer, or a CBD provider, most likely you had to have a hemp license, whether that's a hemp retail license, a hemp grow license, a hemp processor license. You were already doing essentially what you're going to do with THC weed already in the hemp space. So New York State said the best thing for them to do is let them do that for the THC side. Instead of going to look for a bunch of new growers and a bunch of new processors, we're just going to let you guys go first, right? Mixed emotions about that. Again, I feel like that was void of our perspective. If you talk to people, you get more insight on if that is necessarily how to roll things out. But neither here nor there. Those rolled out, and those had, I don't really know the cost exactly for those. But I will say in New York State, we're kind of decent with licensing costs, what it looks like, and with the potential things that have been talked about and tossed around.
I've heard crazy numbers. I've heard like you got to pay $500,000.
Yeah, those are like for those, when I was talking about before, I couldn't get in because the medical companies were in. They're called registered organizations. So those are the first people in New York State who ever could sell weed. They were in the medical world, but they can do that. And those licenses were astronomical, right? They were like insane. You had to have like, I think show like you had 10 million or, yeah, it was like crazy. Yeah, I might be wrong, so excuse me, OCM, if I got that number wrong. I don't want them to be mad at me. But it was definitely one of those situations like black people were like, I can't get into that.
Facts.
And that's not going to be the situation here.
Okay.
Right? And so I can't say that. No numbers have really been released as of yet. I think that card program, they might have talked about what that number is, but the state is giving them turnkey locations. So those first 150 retailers, Governor Hochul earmarked like 200K or 300 million rather, for the cannabis industry. And they decided to partner with DASNY, the Department of whatever in New York. They run all of the building and they buy the buildings and everything. So they partner with them and they found 150 locations that they're gonna outfit, have them ready to go. People just walk right in and do it. But you do take on a balloon loan from the state. And so that's kind of, again, that shaky ground that card program rolled out on, and people have mixed emotions about that. But they do have that opportunity to roll out with retail. And I believe there's the application cost first. But yeah, if you're going to get a turnkey location, I'm sure that's minimal in terms of what you would normally have to pay. So yeah. But it'll be decent. I think nobody's going to be going broke off the application process. And I think there might even be like don't make me lie. It might even be refundable if you don't get approved.